Give me 10 minutes and I'm going to completely change your son's entire baseball development process.
Hernandez, a high fly ball deep into right center. Muncy hits a high drive to deep right field. Headed.
So first off, why should you even listen to me? So I played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and San Diego Padres. I played also 3 years at the D1 level at NC State University, landed a scholarship to go play there. And I was on varsity all 4 years of my high school baseball journey. So I'm here to share all of that knowledge with you, alongside with the 200 families that we've helped inside the Mendoza Baseball Academy. And you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end, because the last shift is what ultimately could make the transformation for your son. All right, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Most high school baseball players waste precious time because you only have 4 years of your life while you're in high school to be able to develop as quickly as possible. And yes, it's a race against time because you can't play high school baseball forever. So your son probably is doing very similar things to what I did. And to be fair, I was on a very structured, high level, nationally ranked high school baseball program. And typically when you find yourself at a high school program, they're gonna have some level of, assistance or maybe a program that you're supposed to be following. And that's exactly what I did at Sarasota High School. I followed the high school program. But the thing that really separated me from the majority of high school baseball players, and really all baseball players, is what I did in those high school years to really springboard myself into college, and then also springboard myself into professional baseball. And that's doing more than what is just basically the bare minimum. So if your son is just doing the bare minimum in his development, he's only doing what the gym facility that he's going to is doing. If he always is working out and getting work done, when he looks to his left and right and he sees people, he's not in the right environment. And don't get me wrong, like, yes, he needs to be doing that type of work too, but there has to be a split of his time where he looks to his left and right and he doesn't see a single person, because this is where that drive needs to be coming from. You have to have that drive to be able to play at that next level. And if you don't have that drive coming from within, if let's say mom or dad is the one that has the drive more than the player, that's where a lot of times these things will get wrong. Real quick, guys, I've got something special for you, for all being loyal watchers here on YouTube. I built a step-by-step free course called the 7 Steps on how to reach out to college baseball coaches the right way. It's for parents of uncommitted sophomores through seniors who want a real roadmap instead of guessing. Inside, I show you how overlooked players land offers, how to write the right email, how to use my exacts template, building that right school list, and how to personalize, send, follow up, and stay organized. It's simple, it's structured, and it works. So go ahead and grab it down below in the description or at MendozaBaseballAcademy.com/7 steps. That's MendozaBaseballAcademy.com/7 steps. So if you don't have that intention with the effort that you're putting in, especially in the gym, this is where a lot of players will go wrong, because I was like majority of high school baseball players. I wanted to play college. I was a workaholic, and yes, I was working extremely hard. Now, looking back from what I know now, and this is exactly what I like to help my players out with, is how could I have gotten better faster? That's the conversation I literally have with myself nonstop. And when I stepped foot on campus at NC State University, it was a very eye-opening experience. I didn't necessarily know all of the movements that they were telling me to do in the gym. And a lot of them were rotational heavy movements, and I didn't like that. I felt like I was behind everyone else. When I felt like I was behind everyone else, that's where, you start to feel like, okay, am I going to get playing time? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And this is where just like a lot of question marks really came, especially in my baseball development. So I wasn't necessarily happy with where I was at, but yeah, I just didn't necessarily know where I was at on the physical development side. And I'll never forget also, my freshman year, so the way that the gym was placed, or how it was set up at NC State, is the guys that lifted really, really heavy were front and center. Everyone else basically slowly progressed downwards to the lightest weight. And when I was at NC State, I was doing the lightest weight, and I was like, wait a second, hold up. I've been working really hard at the gym, doing 2-a-days in high school. I've been one of the hardest workers that I thought that I was doing. But then I got basically exposed to a higher level of competition. I got in front of better competition, older guys, stronger guys, and then it made me realize, okay, I should have probably been doing something different to prepare me a little bit better for this opportunity. So this is where it's really important to make sure that you're defining your playing profile. So a lot of high school baseball players never even look at themselves in the mirror, never acknowledge what kind of baseball player they are. They don't know if they are a power guy that basically is supposed to bop they don't know if they're a speed and agility type of guy, maybe like a center fielder or a second baseman, that it's okay to be a little bit undersized as long as you have that speed on the base pass, you know how to run the bases, you are quick twitched. These are all things that it's okay to be a little bit undersized in high school. But again, if you never look at yourself at that type of playing profile, and you always just keep telling yourself that you're too small or you're too weak or you don't weigh enough, like these are all the things that can really hurt your confidence. So I want to be very transparent with you guys. You have to set your correct playing profile. And if you never do that, you basically just miss out on understanding what you even bring to the table, which is going to really hurt, if anything, the team that you're on. It's not going to necessarily hurt yourself. Like, yes, it will hurt yourself because without confidence, it's very hard to play this game, but it's going to hurt your team because you don't know what kind of player you are, and you're the one in control of your body, right? Like, think about if you're playing a video game. If you can't control that video game player to the best of their ability, then you're not using that player to the best of your ability. Think of like MLB The Show. If you have a Shohei Ohtani, but you always just trying to bunt, it's not going to be best used to whatever that individual player can do, right? Ohtani obviously can hit home runs. Why would you bunt with a player that can hit home runs? You don't understand the playing profile. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Another area that I think is very, very important, we want to assess where we're currently at, not guess. And I think a lot of high school baseball parents especially will guess that their son is throwing really hard. And I always like to get specific on that, because what is hard in your definition is not hard in my definition. My basically definition of hard is probably 102, 103, because that's the hardest I've ever faced. Yes, it was very, very hard. I faced Jordan Hicks, Hunter Green I faced a couple of times. There were some absolute flamethrowers. I think Ken Rosenthal? I don't know if it's Ken, but I think last name is Rosenthal. I think Ken might be the reporter, but I think there was a Rosenthal that was with the Nationals in spring training that threw 100 against me one time. But either way, that's my definition of hard. Your definition of hard might be like 90, okay? Obviously, our scales are a little bit different because of the playing experience, but I more or less want to know, okay, your son throws hard. Okay, in comparison to what? His age, his graduation level, maybe the competition level, right? Where are you guys from? Are you guys in Florida? And as a senior, he's throwing hard, which is 80 miles an hour, and you think it's 80 miles an hour? When in reality, hard in Florida is probably like 90 miles an hour. Hard in maybe Vermont is 80 miles an hour, right? So these definitions can be specified into where you're from, graduation level, things like that. So I think that's where it's always important to make sure that we're assessing where we're currently at, not only in, you know, where we're at in the country and things like that, but we really also want to assess with current metrics. We're never going into a facility solely for the focus of getting metrics, exit velocity, arm velocity. 60-yard dash time, by the way, does not require a facility. It does not require a membership. It just requires your desire to run 60 yards in a straight line. So many high school baseball players do not know their 60 time, and I get so frustrated with them because it's like, dude, run 60 yards and time yourself. How hard do you really want to make this? If you can't get your 60-yard dash time to understand one simple baseline, how are we going to really show progressions, right? And again, this is where you're guessing on what your 60 time is. And if you don't have those metrics right away, you're already feeling behind because you don't know where you currently stand. If you understand where you currently stand, that's going to help you out tremendously with just feeling comfortable in your own skin, feeling comfortable with your, track of progression, right? These are the things also coaches want to see as well. Next up, you really want to define a training program and revolve that around baseball specific movements. So like I said, when I was in high school, I was doing 2-a-days, but I was just kind of like spinning my wheels in place, doing a lot of hard work rather than doing baseball specific movements. Doing a little bit more rotational heavy movements are going to help me out a lot, or help you out a lot more. I know that they would have helped me out a ton as well. All right, next up, it might sound weird because it's not necessarily on the physical development side, but it is on the player development side. You need to work on your mental game and map that out individually for yourself. And you have to understand, okay, am I a confident player? Am I a mentally weak player? Do strikeouts really affect me as a hitter? And do they last, games as far as a slump? These are things that you need to know about yourself, and you need to address them sooner rather than later, because I have some harsh news that I want to share with you guys right now. It's only going to get harder. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, but it is only going to get harder in the game of baseball. It's not going to get any easier when you're facing higher velocity in college or better competition. So it's only going to get harder. Don't expect it to ever get easier. So make sure that you're addressing that mental side of the game, because if you're not, you're going to hit some level of failure at some point in this game, and then you're not going to know how to rebound. You're not going to know how to build that confidence up to get confident enough to be able to play, and most importantly, to perform. Because if you're not performing, I hate to break it to you, but you're never going to play at that next level. End of the day, performance is the only thing that truly actually moves the needle to help you play in college or to help you get drafted. These are things that I had to do when I was at those levels to be able to play at the next one. Also, I really want to hit on real quick the environment that you're on or that you're in. And then this is where I like to use the quote, you want to either be playing on the right field or on the right team, especially in travel ball, especially in high school. This is the time that you have the ability to choose what field you truly want to play on. And by choosing, yes, being on the team and making the national scout team, that's a huge honor, but that's usually where the top talent gets to play. And if you're not able to play on that top team, you want to be playing against that team. That's what it means by being on the right field, right? We're not necessarily on the right team, but we're on the right field in the right tournaments where coaches are going to be technically watching those players. Also, it is important to make development a family strategy. It is important. Set some roles. Who's organizing, who's supporting, who's driving who where, right? Especially in those early stages of your son's high school baseball journey. And especially because this is important, parents, you guys are the guardrails. You're not the backseat driver, right? Telling them everything that they need to do. And that's probably one of the most common ways for a player to start failing and to start wanting to give up is simply, my mom and my dad are just super annoying. They're always in my ear telling me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And it's just not fun anymore. It is your job to help him in this journey, obviously, to get recruited, to be able to play, college baseball, to make sure that he's on the right path. And that is something that I help out with all of my students. So if you guys are interested in working one-on-one with me inside my mentorship program, it's ideally probably the triple play program. I have some variations to that as well. If you're a senior, for example, throwing like 90 miles an hour, I definitely want to help you out with a little bit more hands-on work. We can definitely discuss that if you guys are interested. Down below in the description, you'll be able to see a link that takes you to my website. You can learn a little bit more about who I am and what my program's all about. And then from there, if you guys are serious and you are desiring to have that help, go ahead and schedule an eligibility review. On that call, we basically just go through your son's situation. And yes, there is more help than these videos. There's a lot more hands-on and personalized help, more importantly, within my academy. So if that's something that you guys are looking for additional help, click either of the links down below. One of them is going to be to that 7 steps course that we mentioned earlier. And then the other one's going to be, taking you to my website, learning a little bit more about the triple play, who I am, what we do, and seeing if it's a mutual fit on an eligibility review.